So today I want to go over a topic that many preachers have not talked about. In the Old Testament, and I should say in the prophets, it is written that it is not good enough that Messiah would be sent to raise up the lost tribes of Israel, that he should also be a light to the Gentiles. And let me show you where that's written. It is written in both Isaiah 42 and verse 6, but is also the apostles quoted that very scripture in Acts 13 verse 47. But the question is Isaiah 42 the origin of the idea to bring a blessing upon the Gentiles? And which Gentiles? We notice that in the book of Acts, let's go to Acts 20 and verse 21. This is Paul in Macedonia and Greece. Testifying to both the Jews and also to the Greeks repentance toward Elohim and faith toward our Master, Yeshua Messiah, not Jesus Christ, Yeshua Messiah. Now, there are many instances of this statement, the Jews and the Greeks, in the New Testament. And people have misunderstood that the scripture in the New Testament, where it talks about neither Jew nor Greek, I think it's what it says. Galatians, for example. And there's a lot of study Bibles that say there is neither Jew nor Gentile. That's not what it said. That's not what Paul said. He said there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. In other words, you are male and female. You are Jew and Greek. However, there is something greater, and that is bonded with Yeshua Messiah. So why is it throughout the New Testament Paul talks about Jew and Greek, Jew and Greek, Jew and Greek? For example, he's speaking to the Romans. Why is he saying this to the Romans? Why is he saying Jew and Greek? For he says, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Messiah, for it is the power of Jehovah unto salvation to every one that believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. Why is he saying that? The New Testament is filled with statements like this. Where did that all begin? In order to find out, we need to go to Noah. Where the blessings came to the sons of Noah. And we will go to Genesis 9 and verse 20. And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunk, and was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his brethren outside. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and covered the nakedness of their... And they saw not their father's nakedness, and Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done to him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be to his brethren. And he said, Blessed be Jehovah Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Jehovah shall enlarge, or Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall also be his servant. All right. People go over that, and they see it, and they say, okay, it is done. No, it's not done. Because, let's look up the word enlarge in Strong's Concordance. What is the meaning of it? Allure. What? It is Patha 6601 in Strong's Concordance Hebrew. Allure. Now, we have seen that word allure. Allure. In other places in the Bible. Have we not? Let's go to Hosea 2 verse 14. And let's see if that word allure is the same word. I haven't checked it. Let's see if it's the same word. It is the same word. Wow. This is talking about Jehovah's mercy upon Israel. He says, he talks about Israel, how Israel strayed away from him, and how he rejected Israel, called them not my people anymore. Then he says, Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. So if we're going to use the same meaning that was used in Hosea 2 in verse 14, then maybe we should, instead of using the word enlarge, Jehovah shall allure Japheth. and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Now, let us very carefully go through this, and I'm going to show you something that you may not have noticed before. What does the name Shem mean? It is pronounced shame, and it also literally means shame. 8035 Shem, or shame, it means name. That's its original meaning. However, it means byword, defamed, and therefore famous for the wrong reasons. So it literally means shame and defamed. Which among the children of Shem have been shamed and defamed? We will go to Daniel 9 and we will find out. Daniel is praying. In the first verse 1, in the first year of Darius the son of Ahasuerus of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by the books of the number of the years, wherefore the word of Jehovah came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. And I set my face unto Jehovah Elohim to seek by prayer and supplication with fasting, sackcloth and ashes. I prayed unto him and made my confession, and I said, O Jehovah, the great and dreadful Elohim, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, we have committed iniquity, we have done wickedly, we have rebelled even by departing from your precepts and from your judgments, neither have we hearkened unto your servants the prophets, which spoke in your name to our kings, our princes, our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Jehovah, righteousness belongs to you, but unto us shame. It is written in English as confusion of face, but this word is a different word in Hebrew, Bosheth 1:3-22, that means shame. Which is interestingly related to the other word I just mentioned of the meaning of Shem, be defamed. Now I want you to look throughout history and which people has been the most defamed. Obviously the Jews, the sons of Shem. You get where I'm going with this? Yet, listen, it says right here, in verse 27 of Genesis 9, that Jehovah is going, or Elohim will cause Japheth to dwell in the tents of Shem. In other words, they should be living together, working together for one purpose. So, when The old covenant was rejected, and Messiah was killed. The promise of a light to the Gentiles, as written in the prophets, was about to take place. Who was that promise of a light to the Gentiles supposed to be on? The sons of Japheth. Why? Because it is written right here in Genesis 9, aka the Greeks. Now, not only were the Greeks the son of Japheth, but the Greeks were basically the lead son of Japheth. I should say, he was the son of Japheth. I was thinking grandson, but no, he was the son of Japheth. Now, so the blessing was supposed to come upon the Greeks and the Jews upon the arrival of Yeshua Messiah. This is the reason why Paul said neither Greek nor Jew, but we are all one in Yeshua Messiah. Now, the sons of Japheth extend Greece to Rome, to all of Europe, all the way to Great Britain. But unfortunately, the sons of Japheth disobeyed the words of Jehovah. They did not dwell in the tents of Shem or the defamed ones. They raped, murdered, and pillaged in the tents of the defamed and shamed. And this is why a passage is written in Zechariah. Zechariah 9. In verse 13. I want to make sure I get the old King James Version, so because that's what everybody knows here. Zechariah 9, verse 13. I will start in verse 12. Return to the stronghold, that's Jerusalem. Return to Jerusalem, you prisoners. Yes, the children of the Holocaust. Return to Jerusalem, you Holocaust, children of the Holocaust, because today I declare that I will bless you double. That's what it says. When is this going to happen? When is this double blessing upon the children of the Holocaust happen? Verse 13. When I have bent Judah or Yehudah for me like a bow, and when I have filled that bow with the fiery arrows of Ephraim. You will see the fiery arrows in just a minute as I continue. And you will know then that that actually belongs there in verse 13. and raised up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O who? Greece. And made you, Zion, like a sword of a mighty man. Verse 14, and Jehovah shall be seen over them. Over who? The sons of Zion. And his arrow, Ephraim, shall go forth like lightning. Yes. So these aren't normal arrows that he was talking about in the previous verse, verse 13. No, these are missiles that fly like lightning. And the bow are the launch pads from where they are launched, and they will be launched from Judah, or as today is called, the land of Israel. Who's Ephraim then? Whose missiles are they in Judah today that will be launched from Judah against the sons of Greece? And who is he speaking of when he is saying the sons of Greece? Well, one can immediately say, well, the Greek Orthodox Church. Well, that includes all of Russia and Eastern Europe. Well, that's true. But Greece is also the Hellenes. And the Hellenes, the Greeks, have influenced, and their brothers are all through Europe, all the way to Great Britain. And there's only one nation, there's only one large nation on earth today that sides with the Jews. Only one. And they are bringing their missiles, as we speak, to Israel, thereby possibly fulfilling this particular passage, that Ephraim's missiles will be launched from Judah against the invaders, the sons of Greece. And Jehovah shall blow the trumpet. Yes, it'll be the time of the blowing of the trumpets, as we read in Revelation 9. Let me see. I wonder if I can find this article. November 13, 2017, U.S. broke ground for new permanent base in southern Israel. Now look at this. Zechariah 9, it says in verse 14, and Jehovah shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning, and Jehovah Elohim shall blow the trumpet and shall go with whirlwinds of the south. We're talking southern Israel, aren't we? Now, even more important than that, I hope I can find this article. Folks, please bear with me, because this is very, very important. I posted something yesterday. Well, I posted it on Facebook, but looks like Facebook might, well, hold on. Now it's coming. Hopefully I'll find it. Very, very important. Here we go. I think this might be it. Yes, it's on the Jerusalem Post. And I'll give you the date as soon as I find it. They updated it. It says February the 6th. Oh, it was written by Anna Ehrenheim on February the 4th. Talks about a 5-day massive missile exercise. Amid rising tensions, U.S. troops are in Israel for missile defense drill. With tensions high on both the northern and southern fronts, U.S. troops are in Israel and have deployed anti-missile defense systems across the country ahead of the biannual Juniper Cobra military exercise. A large-scale 5-day drill will simulate a massive missile attack on Israel from both fronts and will be led by the Israel Air Force, the IDF confirms to the Jerusalem Post on Sunday. Such exercises are part of a long-term strategy and part of the ongoing cooperation between the IDF and the U.S. military, read the statement by IDF's spokesperson's unit. The joint exercise with the U.S. Army European Command is aimed at strengthening military cooperation against regional threats and promoting long-term security for Israel. The last Juniper Cobra exercise in June 2016 saw more than 3,000 American troops taking part and was considered a flagship exercise of the IAF Aerial Defense Division. The IDF said the drill, which has occurred every 2 years since 2001, is a part of annual training to maintain the readiness of troops. It comes amid war of words with Hezbollah, which is thought to have an arsenal of between 100,000 and 150,000 missiles. We won't, let's see here. On Wednesday, Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman warned that should war erupt on the northern border with Hezbollah, Beirut would pay the full price, as the Lebanese army and Hezbollah are one and the same. We won't allow pictures like those in 2006 where citizens in Beirut were on the beaches while Israelis in Tel Aviv sat in shelters. If people are in shelters in Tel Aviv, all of Beirut will be in shelters. Lieberman stated at the 11th Annual Institute for the National Security Studies Conference in Tel Aviv. During a visit to Moscow last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told Russian President Vladimir Putin that Israel would take action to prevent Iran from entrenching itself in Syria and from turning Lebanon into a base for manufacturing precision missiles against Israel. I made it clear to him that we will not agree to either one of these developments and will act according to our need. And this is where it gets good. Washington and Israel have signed an agreement which would see the U.S. come to assist Israel with missile defense in times of war. In September, the first U.S. base in Israel was inaugurated, guess where? In the south, exactly as it says in Zechariah 9. The base within a base is run by EUCOM, not to be confused with Europe. It is United States European Division, and includes barracks, officers, offices, and support services. According to Brigadier General Zvika Haimovich, the head of the Aerial Defense Division, the new base would improve our ability significantly. It won't get us to 100%, but it will get us much closer to achieving important things during a war. In March, General Curtis Scaparrotti, head of EUCOM and Supreme Allied Commander for Europe, made his second visit to Israel, underscoring a strong and enduring military partnership between Israel and the United States, and the U.S. commitment to maintaining Israel's qualitative military edge in the region. Scaparrotti also met with IDF Chief of Staff General Gadi Eisenkot several times over the past year, including October when Eisenkot flew to Washington and met with the head of U.S. Central Command. So as we see, just reported a couple of days ago, Zechariah 9 is being set up. Ephraim will once again reunite with Judah. The two will become one stick, and they will be a sword in the hand of Jehovah, with Messiah, Yeshua Messiah, as their leader. Against who? Against the people who were supposed to share a blessing with the Jews, according to the words of Paul. But because of the breaking of the everlasting covenant, because the nations, the Gentiles, broke the everlasting covenant, all Israel will be reunited, and the new covenant will be solely for the reunited whole house of Israel under one king. Now, I hope I'm not talking to a wall here, because it appears that I'm getting a lot of grief on YouTube for defending the Jews. This is what the Greeks should have been doing. This is what the Christians should have been doing, defending the Jews. And because they didn't, Matthew 25. Parable of the sheep and the goats. Verse 41, then he shall say unto them on his left hand, Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels, for I was hungry, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you took me not in, naked, and you clothed me not, sick and in prison, and you visited me not. And then they shall answer him, saying, Master, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto you? And then he shall answer them, saying, Verily, verily, I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these, that's the Jews, you did not unto me. And if you don't believe this is the case, then you need to read the very first verse in the sheep and the goats. That would be verse 31. When the Son of Man shall come into his glory, and all his holy angels with him, then he shall sit upon his throne of glory. Where is that throne of glory going to be? Revelation says Jerusalem. Revelation says the gates will be named after each and every one of the tribes of Israel. And if that's the case, then each and every one of the tribes of Israel are his brethren. So, it says in verse 32, and before him shall be gathered all nations. That means all the goyim. While he's sitting on his throne in Jerusalem. King of all 12 tribes of Israel, for they will become one stick in Jehovah's hand, and their leader will be Yeshua HaMashiach. And their enemies are the Gentiles. And there will be a select out of the Gentiles who did give these Jews water to drink, who did give them food to eat, who did give them clothing for their backs, who provided for them shelter, who tried to nurse them to health. Those will be, it will be like you. They will know, he will know every single name. You come into my kingdom. You belong with us. That is how he's going to separate the Gentiles, one from another. You can sit there and argue about it all you want to. Makes no difference. The truth is the truth. And if you don't believe that the Gentiles broke the everlasting covenant, how is it possible that an everlasting covenant was made with the Gentiles to begin with? Only if Yeshua Messiah was also sent as a light to the Gentiles. And when did this happen? This happened after he was raised from the dead. And Paul, the only apostle to the Gentiles, spoke of this often. I think it's in Isaiah. Isaiah 24, verse 5. Starting in verse 1. This is the day of Jehovah's wrath. Why is it happening? Verse 1. Behold, Jehovah makes the earth empty and makes it waste, and turns it upside down and scatters abroad the inhabitants thereof. And as it shall be with the people, so with the priests, so with the servant, so with the master, so with the maid, so with her mistress, so with the buyer, so with the seller, so with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury, and the land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for Jehovah has spoken this word. The earth mourns and fades away, the world languishes and fades away, and the haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth is also defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broke the everlasting covenant. What is the everlasting covenant? How can the Gentiles break the everlasting covenant if it was not given to them? Ever wondered about that? The everlasting covenant, or let me put it to you like this. We all agree that the old covenant was temporary, right? That's what Paul said. Paul said the old covenant was temporary. Therefore, the new covenant is the everlasting covenant. And if the Gentiles were offered the new covenant, and it says right here in Isaiah 24, they broke it, what is going to be the end result? The end result is the last verse of that chapter of Isaiah 24. The end result is in verse 23, then the moon shall be confounded and the sun ashamed. Yes, that is written in the prophets and in the New Testament, in Revelation. When Jehovah of hosts shall reign where? In Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and before his ancients, that's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, gloriously. You see, so the Greeks were given the new covenant, and all Israel, and by the election of grace it was given. And during that whole time, any Israelite could come in by grace too. But the new covenant has been broken by the Greeks, by the Caucasians, by the Hellenes, by the Gentiles, whom it was given to. And so therefore, Jehovah, our Father in heaven, will bring the stick of Judah and the stick of Joseph together as one, and will make them the sword of a mighty man on that great day of battle against their enemies, the apostate Greeks, Gentiles. But the Romans are also Greeks, sons of Japheth, who were supposed to dwell in the tents of Shem, the shamed one, the slandered one. I hope you found this interesting. I sure did when I read it.